right, so today you guys are going to need your notes for this unit. So grab those if you don't have them. We also are going to be doing some work in Google Classroom if you kind of want to make your way there a little bit. And note that the next time I see you, we will be taking a test. Okay, so however it is, the next time I have you in class, like expect to be taking a unit test. So our goal today is to finish the last page of notes. And then we're going to do hopefully about 30 minutes of practice just to make sure that you guys are ready and that you understand what I'm going to ask you on the test. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to kind of start to review a little bit on this page, page 14. The idea or the concepts related to this unit are mostly how we can use cell division to heal and grow. And again, that cell division is mitosis. And then how we can use meiosis to cut chromosome number in half so that we can then sexually reproduce. Okay. So again, we've mentioned before that to start off an organism, you have to have parents that are able to do meiosis, and they can make those haploid sperm cells or egg cells. When they join together, that process is called fertilization. And that first cell, it seems like we've forgotten what we call that first cell in the last two classes that I've taught today. So remember that that first cell is called the zygote. And that zygote should be back to that diploid number of the species, 2N. And then that cell is going to divide by mitosis to give you a multicellular organism. And since it's dividing by mitosis, and then all of those cells are dividing by mitosis, then we should have the diploid number in every single one of those cells, those body cells of that developing organism. Okay. All right. Now, we're going to kind of start off with going into Google Classroom. And since you guys have a test, we're going to start to work a little bit with some of these learning targets as we review them to show you the best tool and what to do to prepare very well for the test that you guys have next class. Okay, so everyone go to Google Classroom, go to Classwork tab, open up this week 4 Wednesday. And then I want you guys to open up the learning targets document. Okay. All right, so again, Google Classroom, click on Wednesday, open up that learning targets document, and then you should have your copy. Again, guys, it would be really helpful if you had your cameras on today because I can see you on my other screen here. And so, again, if I see you, I know you're here. If not, you're going to have to speak up. And then correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm going to ask you guys some questions here. But did we open up and type on these learning targets last class? Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so when you open this up, this should be your own copy of learning targets. And let's go ahead and kind of scroll down to the bottom to this third box, because this is kind of the information that we've been covering here lately. And let's go ahead and go down to question number 26. Now you guys should be able to type right into this document. I like to change my color so that I see my learning targets different from the answers that I'm going to put down here. And the best thing you can do to prepare is write down the answers for these learning targets, and then study these answers. I'm going to change my spacing here. Oh, geez. Okay, whatever. I'll change it later. Okay, so let's do 26. Define fertilization and discuss how haploid cells and diploid cells relate to fertilization and the zygote. Does anyone want to tackle that one? Okay, well then let's start on a smaller scale. Can someone tell me what a zygote is?
It's the first cell.
Awesome. Okay. And is the first cell going to be diploid or haploid? Awesome. Okay. The zygote is the first cell that is diploid. It forms from haploid sperm and egg joining called fertilization. Okay, I think we got all those words in there. So the zygote is the first cell that should be diploid. It forms from the haploid sperm cells and eggs joining together, and that process is called fertilization. Okay, all right, let's do another one while we're here, one that's kind of a little difficult. Let's do number 25. We actually started with this idea last class, and you guys went to, I believe we went to, did you guys go through to your ABC worksheet? And we created a slide for V. Okay. And so we said V is for variation. Variation and diversity means the same thing. Okay. And we typed in some things that causes variations in individuals in a population. Does anyone remember what we typed in that V slide? Awesome. Okay. So some ways that we get genetic variation is crossing over. Does crossing over happen in mitosis or meiosis? Very good. So crossing over, meiosis, and the events in meiosis lead to different sperm cells and egg cells every single time. Does anyone remember the name of the law that has to do with how the chromosomes can line up differently in the middle, and they line up differently each time? I'll give you that one. It's called the Law of Independent Assortment. And so when they line up in the middle and they get pulled apart, if they line up different ways, then they're going to get pulled apart differently into different daughter cells. Spelling meiosis wrong here. Okay, let's do another one. Let's think of one more. If you have a child that has a gene and both you and the other parent, you do not have that gene, then how did that child get that new trait, that new gene? Right. That's how we get brand new traits in a population. Now, most of the time, mutations don't lead to good traits, like an eye in the middle of your forehead. That's probably not good increased chances of survival. But that is a brand new trait that you and the other parent you don't have. It's just because there was mutations that happened during meiosis, and those mutations ended up in the next generation. So mutations can give us brand new traits, creates variations in populations. Okay. All right, so what we're doing here is something that is kind of key to making sure that you guys know what I'm expecting you to know for your test next class. So one thing you're going to do here at the end of class is you guys can choose to continue to type in answers, or you can end up doing something else, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit, okay? All right, so before, though, we go into breakout rooms and we work together on stuff, we have to finish this last page of our notes. Now, because you should be, hopefully you still have your classwork tab open, before we start the last page of notes, I'm going to have you guys watch a very short, it's like 2 minutes video, and it's highly entertaining about the mud skippers. And I'm not going to present it because it just lags too much. It's going to be much better if you just play it on your computer, okay? So go to Google Classroom again, click on Wednesday, and then come down here, and I want you to click on this video. That's the life video, and it's all about the mud skippers. And take a second to watch that. All right, if I can get you guys back here to my screen, what I'm presenting. Could someone tell me what was the goal to what the mud skipper is doing on my screen?
Wasn't it to like attract?
Yeah, the mud skipper is trying to get lucky. And he is trying to show that he can jump the highest. He's competing against the other males. He's trying to get the attention of a female, which kind of, if you think back to whenever you were little kids, think about like how competitive you are. Like you guys knew who was the fastest in your class, like who did the most pull-ups in PE, who could jump the highest, right? So even kind of back then when we're little, like we like to compete to be noticed. And that's what's happening with these mud skippers. Now, if the ladies don't notice these males because of their ups that they have, then what do they resort to try to win the ladies' affection? Yeah, aren't they cute? Like, I just think they're the cutest things. Like, they just like are gumming each other to death or something. They're so ferocious looking, right? Okay, so then they fight. Now, is there some species that can fight until the death of one male? Yes, that can happen. Okay. Also, they're trying to be noticed by the female though. But while they're out doing all this, do you think there might be some other organisms that might be noticing them and that would be bad? Probably. Give me an example why that would be bad. Right. Right. So did you, I don't know if maybe you guys, was anyone here an avid deer hunter? Like, I could answer this question for me. Is this a deer hunting season at the same time that it's deer mating season? Does it start messing up? Okay. Let me. Okay, I'm trying.